Every football player has that moment of realization, knowing that they know a player is different. Every football player has their strange ways of going about the way of getting ready for a football game. And every player knows what separates a great coach from a good coach. Today, we're going to be breaking those things down. Welcome back to episode 9 of the Trust Troupey Podcast. Welcome, everybody. It is episode 9 of the Trust Troupey Podcast. Let's get some housekeeping out the way. Make sure you guys are following. Make sure you guys are subscribing. We're slowly growing. We're doing everything the right way, but we got to make sure we're continuing to grow. You know what I mean? Welcome back. Great episode ahead. Great things ahead. A little change of scenery again. I understand I keep changing my scenery up a little bit, but it's good that you guys are getting some new scenery. It's good that you guys are getting some new venues and everything. But very happy to be back. Very happy to record another episode. Gonna stay consistent with it every single week. Nothing's gonna change. Gonna stay consistent. You know what I mean? But let's get into the first segment because this has been a topic all week on my TikTok. I want to talk about 7-on-7 football. I want to talk about the culture behind 7-on-7 football because there's a lot of people that argue that 7-on-7 is just the AAU of football. And I disagree. Do I disagree? No, I don't disagree. I agree because it is the AAU of football, but the problem is AAU has its own problems and AAU has its own issues, but they're not being addressed because of the fact that it's football in the spring. It's a chance for kids to play football. It's a chance for kids to actually be able to do something in the spring. You know what I'm saying? To which I agree. Like I said, I think it's very, very, very important for kids to do something in the spring. Live reps are important in football. If you are not getting live reps, then you're not doing anything at all. You know what I'm saying? Live reps are just as important as practicing, as the field work, as the drills, as all of that. Live reps are extremely important. So that's why I think 7-on-7 is important. But I'm talking about everything else around it. You know what I'm saying? The extra disrespectful aspects of it, the prima donna aspects of it, the aspect of everybody is out to get one another. There's no teamwork in 7-on-7. There isn't. It's all about, hey, get me the ball. You know what I mean? And the fact that people are being recruited for 7-on-7 is absolutely ridiculous to me. Absolutely ridiculous. The fact that people are being looked at from 7-on-7 is crazy to me because when them pads come on, it's a totally different story. It really is. And again, it's not me hating on 7-on-7. I truly believe that 7-on-7 helps. It's a fun way to help people get better at their craft in the offseason. But the problem is so much other stuff going on with 7-on-7 that sometimes it really ain't helping. You know what I mean? The aspect of guarding somebody else, yes, that helps. The aspect of being able to run a route, yes, that helps. To be able to mock a defense, that helps. But the problem is you're taking away the trenches. We know that. You're taking away the most important part of the football game, and it gives quarterbacks and receivers a weird way of going about it because that ain't how a real game gonna go. You ain't gonna script a 7-on-7 game like how you gonna script a real game. You're not gonna go about that in the same way. But at the same time, it's one-on-one work that the quarterback gets to get just throwing the football. You know what I mean? Being able to read things. The problem resides when we're running 7, 8, 9 cut routes that you are not running in a game. The problem is at a certain point in 7-on-7, it just becomes all fades. There is no sitting down in a zone. There is no reading the leverage of a DB. It's all just throw it up to me and see what I can do. Let's create a highlight reel. That's really all it becomes. Hey, let's create a highlight reel. Let's see what this reel can do. Let's see what I can do for my team. Let's see how many points I can score. And as we know, football is all about teamwork, 22 strong. If you are not 22 strong in football, you will not be successful. Why is 7-on-7 being as highly regarded as football? And that's my problem. It's no longer become just a spring thing. It's now becoming a form or a way of kids to only want to do touch football. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I made a video last week. I made a video, not last week. I made a video this week talking about how 7-on-7 is ruining the culture. And there's a lot of people that agreed. There were some people that was like, it's just a fun way. I was like, yeah, but you're not seeing what I'm saying. It's just a fun way. I don't care. It can be fun, super fun, and it can be ruining the landscape of how football is working too. Both can be true. You know what I mean? But, for example, I said it's ruining the culture of football. And there was a bunch of kids that just put their 7-on-7 pictures. What? Like, what? Like, you know what I mean? And I think it ruins the culture simply and solely because of the fact that it's disrespectful at times. Like, why, when somebody makes a good play on somebody, yes, I'm all for talking shit. I'm all for getting the dude face. I'm all for, hey, you ain't like that. Hey, I'm here. I'm all, you know what I'm saying? I'm all for it. The moment we start putting trash bags over people's head after getting mossed, it's weird. That's weird. That's not even cool. You know what I'm saying? The moment we start doing all the extra stuff, we got little 10-year-olds humping the ground after making plays. No. That's not something I'm standing for. I'm sorry. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But I'm not doing that. And that's why I think it's ruining a lot of things. But people value it too much, in my opinion. I think we're to the point that people look at 7-on-7 as spring football. And that's just not true. Now, a lot of high schools these days don't have spring football. I know Texas has a spring football. I know Cali has a spring football. I know Florida has spring football. But not everybody else has spring football. In Indiana, when I played, there was no spring football. We had a couple spring practices. You know what I'm saying? A couple spring practices in like early March. And that was it. And then after I left is when they started having like full-blown like actual practices and stuff. But we had a couple spring practices, but that was track season. You know what I mean? It was basketball then track season. There was no opportunity, I would say, for flag or for 7-on-7 football. You know what I mean? And don't get it twisted. I'm not saying everybody that plays 7-on-7 football is doo-doo or is trash or is gonna be trash or when the pads come on is gonna be whatever. I'm just saying it makes them value something that isn't valuable in football. The I. There's no I in team. You know what I'm saying? There's an I in win. Yeah, cool. There's no I in team. It makes them value their own statistics and highlights and whatever rather than the team aspect of football. Rather than the aspect of, hey, I need to do this. I need to do my job in order for us to win this football game. If I go out there and I do my job and I block and I catch passes when they're thrown at me and I make sure I'm cheering on my teammates and doing all of this stuff, that'll be even better than what is going on. You know what I mean? You're never, and I mean never, going to have a situation in football to where one person takes over a game. And I want you to listen to me. There's never going to be a situation to where one person takes over a game. There's so many aspects of the game that have to happen. Now, there's a player that will score a touchdown or two. There will be a player that'll have 2-3 picks, but let's look at everything else. Let's look at everything that goes through it. You know what I'm saying? The O-line has to block well for the quarterback to throw to the receiver to be able to catch those touchdowns. The D-line has to get home, and the linebackers have to get pressure in order for the quarterback to throw the ball out late for the corner to get a pick. The safeties have to be in their spot so the quarterback throws towards that corner that is sitting in a cover 2 flat, waiting to go jump the corner. You know what I'm saying? That stuff matters. All of these little things matter. And then on top of that, the special teams have to get field position in order for that DN to be able to go get the sack and get the safety. We had to block a punt in order for the offense to get great field position for the O-line to block. You see how many things I'm talking about, how everything has to go at once? Yeah, you see how everything has to go at once and everything has to go on one accord? It's never one or the other. Everything has to go well in a football game. Because at the end of the day, we could sit there and talk about, well, the defense didn't show up. They had to show up at some point in the game for y'all to win. They had to run enough clock off they had to get enough clock off in order for the offense to get the ball back. They had a whole bunch of things that had to happen in order for the game to be won. Nothing, and I mean nothing, is done without the other phases of the ball. Nothing. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I think a lot of people look at 7-on-7 as a fun way. And I'm gonna let them continue to think that way, because I think a lot of people look at 7-on-7 as a fun way to get you through the spring, as a fun way to get you through, you know what I'm saying, to get reps, to have fun, to, you know what I'm saying, to perfect your craft or whatever. The problem is there's not a lot of technique going on in 7-on-7. There's not a lot of technique going on with the receivers, the quarterbacks. The only person I'd say probably technique is like value is probably quarterback, because you have to have technique to throw a football, right? But everything else, no. There is not. There is no technique going on with it. There's very little technique going on with it. The only thing that 7-on-7 helps is in-game reps. And that's something you cannot do in the offseason. You know what I'm saying? You cannot do in the offseason by yourself. You know what I'm saying? The drills will help. You know what I'm saying? The sprinting, the conditioning, all of that will help. But you cannot get those in-game reps without 7-on-7. And I'll give them credit for that. I'll give 7-on-7 credit for that. But everything else around it, the energy, the way coaches act, the way players act, the way everybody else acts around it is a problem to me. It's a huge problem to me, actually. I hate it. I hate it all. But gonna move on to the next segment, okay? What's the difference between a good coach and a great coach? And I talked about this a little bit last week, but I think the difference between a good coach and a great coach is the way he feeds into his players. The way he is able to uplift and empower and motivate his players. A good coach will do that to the bare minimum, but he's worried about winning. He's worried about putting the best players on the field. He's worried about everything else other than what the players. I'm saying a good coach will do that. A great coach will have a relationship with every player. A great coach will make sure he's understanding of every player. A great coach is understanding skill sets of players. A great coach is also making sure he understands that certain players work best in certain environments, right? A good coach will overlook all of that and look at the overarching point of, we have talent on the team. We're going to figure out how to do this. You know what I'm saying? A great coach goes deeper than that, right? I've had a lot of good coaches. I've had a lot of great coaches. You know what I'm saying? The good coaches, they were cool. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, they didn't really have great relationships with the players. They were worried about one thing and one thing only. It was winning, to which everybody wants to win. That's not the point. Everybody wants to win. But they were worried about certain specific things rather than the team as a whole. Emphasizing certain things other than others. You know what I'm saying? All the great coaches were emphasizing that, hey, everybody on this team matters. Whether you're a scout team player, whether you're offense, defense, second string, fifth string, everybody on this team is crucial to us winning. Despite you knowing that, despite you not thinking it, despite you not understanding it right now. Because obviously, if you're third string, you're going to be like, man, I ain't doing nothing. But you working on scout team helps. You working in certain environments helps. You know what I'm saying? It helps. But at the same time, coaches need to emphasize this. Coaches need people to understand, hey, everything matters. That's what separates a good coach from a great coach. Emphasizing everything. Whether it's relationships with players, whether it's scheme, fit, all of that. It all matters. It all matters. But at the same time, it's also valuing winning. Yes, winning matters. Winning matters. We all know it matters. It's valuing winning in the right ways, I'd say. It's valuing winning in the ways that make a player want to play, that make a player want to feel like they are on the team. You know what I mean? So, like, for example, a coach can be a difference in a player loving football and hating football. I think that's the difference between a good coach and a great coach, too. How much do I make players want to play football? How much do I make players want to feel like they are a part of this team, like they are everything. You know what I'm saying? And this is not just players, managers too, trainers, everything, including everybody in this program as a bought-in version of this program. Because at the end of the day, if everybody isn't bought in, you will do nothing. If everybody isn't to the point to where, you know what I mean, like, we understand and we know we have to do everything the right way. You know what I mean? We have to train hard. We have to recover hard. We have to eat hard. We have to do all of that. That is what's going to separate a good coach from a great coach. Like I said, I've had a couple great coaches. My high school coach my senior year, great coach. My college coach, my head coach, great coach. I've had a bunch of great coaches, but I've also, in between all of that, have had a bunch of good coaches. The biggest difference to me was the way they interacted with the players, was the way they interacted with everybody, was the way they set forth their values, the culture, changing the mission of the program. You know what I'm saying? High school, college, middle school, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I had great coaches in middle school too. But that oftentimes gets overlooked and overshadowed by the fact that good coaching, great coaching, is hard to come by too. Great coaching, it does not come easy. You know how many people you can ask out there that probably hasn't had great coaching? You know what I'm saying? There's probably not many football players that can truly say, I've had great coaching. There's probably not many football players that can truly say, I've had a coach that has inspired me so much to want to continue and further this game on another level. There's not a lot of players that can say that. But oftentimes, it gets overlooked because I personally think you will not be at your best, your fullest or your best potential without at least one great coaching staff growing up, whether it's middle school, high school, or college. You will go nowhere without great coaching. Nowhere. You got to have at least one coach that has inspired you, one coach that has looked out for you, one coach that is genuinely thinking about you, thinking about the players around you. You know what I'm saying? For example, in college, my head coach was always thinking about what was next. Always thinking about how can we better the program? Because, like I said, we were 4-time conference champs. It was all about how do we one-up that? How do we get back? How do we figure out how to repeat this, you know what I'm saying, while being dominant, while losing players? And we found a way to do it every single year. You know what I mean? That's the difference between a good coach and a great coach too. Always thinking what's next. Always thinking, hey, how can we improve on our already had success? We lost players this year. We're gaining new starters. We're going to have some first-year starters. How do we continue to improve? How do we continue to improve? It's a hard question to ask. A hard question to ask because I understand this doesn't have anything to do with football. I was watching a Dan Hurley interview, right? He's talking to Gino, the coach at UConn, the women's coach at UConn, and he said the hardest part about being a coach, if you're winning championships, is that next day after. That next day after is, if you win, you're going to be so motivated and desperate to go back. And if you lose, you're going to be so motivated and desperate to get the revenge and go back again. How do you one-up your success from the year before? Because at that point, right after the season, once you win, you're not thinking about that next season right now. But coaches have to. Recruiting starts that next day. That next class comes in that next day. You know what I'm saying? It's no longer the 2025 year. It's now the 2026 year. How do we get better? How do we put this drive? How do we keep this drive in our players? How do we keep this drive in our players? How do we keep this motivation within our players? Because at the end of the day, you can push the motivation factor with these players all you want. Are they motivated though? Do they want something? Do they have that strong will to be like, yeah, I want more. I'm not satisfied with just one. I want 4. You know what I'm saying? How do you instill that motivation in people? And I think great coaches can answer that like that. I think great coaches can answer that like it's nothing. You know what I mean? That's the difference between good coaches and great coaches, though. You know what I mean? But let's get into the next segment. Somebody asked me the other day, hey, was there ever a time or a moment that you lined up against somebody and you was like, oh shit, there's levels to this shit? Absolutely, man. I told this story multiple times on TikTok. I talked about this last week on the podcast episode, but I played against George Karlaftis in high school. You don't know who George Karlaftis is, you know what I mean? You don't know who he is. He played for the Chiefs, right? He plays for the Chiefs right now, won a couple Super Bowls, played against him in high school, 2 back-to-back years in the state playoffs in Indiana. That boy was different. That boy was different, man. When I tell you backfield every single play he was in the backfield. We were double teaming him, triple teaming him, whatever. Did not work. My freshman year, we beat them. My sophomore year, we lost to them. You know what I'm saying? My freshman year, we beat them 13-10. You know what I'm saying? Walk off kick return to win the game. Crazy, one of the craziest moments I've ever lived, right? The next year, we lost by 11 at their crib, muddy field, snow game, backfield, every single play. He was a 5-star. He went to Purdue. But like, that just goes to show there are certain players that like, hey, this guy is different. You know what I mean? This guy is him. You know what I mean? And don't get it twisted. Just because he was different, don't mean nothing. Don't mean nada. Don't mean nothing. I don't care. Because realistically, I think my team knew him being the 5-star prospect that he was, him being this big prospect out in Indiana. My team knew, hey, yeah, we gotta step up our game. And we elevated our play, you know what I'm saying? We elevated it. But I will say there was a couple moments, you know what I'm saying? I mean, at slot receiver, he's at DN. And you know, sometimes that slot receiver has to chip that DN. I got put in my ass a couple of times. I will say that. But, you know what I'm saying? There are certain people that you play with or against that you know are different. Another guy, I talked about this on the TikTok too. Jay Higgins, linebacker for the Ravens. He was my linebacker for the first 3 years of my high school career. Different. Averaged 20 tackles a game. No bullshit. He averaged 20 tackles a game. Do you know how crazy that is? Like, bro, 20 tackles a game. He made things easier, obviously. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew the play before it was going to. He was a film rat. He was athletic freak. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't like the super fastest guy, but he was, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't going to miss a tackle. He was going to beat you to the play. He was going to do everything the right way. Like, bro was different. He was like that. You know what I mean? Still one of the best players I've ever played with. But I played, you know what I'm saying, my sophomore year, I played a bunch of Miami, Ohio commits. They were really good. That was a really good when I played Southport. You know what I mean? But like, there are just some people that like you come across, you know what I mean? You come across and then you're like, oh, wait, this guy might be league bound. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, like I've guarded a bunch of 5-stars at camps. You know what I'm saying? That's whatever. They're good, you know what I mean? But, like, you're not supposed to back down from them. But, like, you definitely can tell and you definitely can know when somebody is different, is like that, when there's levels to this, you know what I'm saying? A lot of it will have to do with the size, too, you know what I mean? But when it gets a multitude of running backs, they were 5'3", right? 225. 5'3", 230. Like, where did you come from? Made in a factory. My freshman, sophomore, and junior year, we played against a running back. I swear to God, I thought he was going D1. He was something. I think it was like something Taylor or whatever, right? I think he averaged 4 touchdowns against us. No bullshit. Averaged 4 touchdowns against us every time he played us. He played for our rival school, and I think he would have won D1. He would have won D1 had his grades not been like shitty. But that boy was a monster Oh my God, that boy was nasty. You know what I mean? It ain't all about like sometimes you can tell when people are eating weights. Sometimes you can tell when people are just like, I'm stocky, you know what I'm saying? They're just built different, you know what I mean? That boy was nasty. That boy was so different, you know what I mean? Sometimes you can tell, sometimes you can't. Yeah, you know what I mean? It works out in different ways. But yeah. Yeah, I feel like everybody has a story of like a player that they went against or was on their team or, you know what I'm saying, was cool with that was just nasty. That was just disgusting, you know what I'm saying? There was a bunch of indie kids that ended up going to play D1, you know what I'm saying? Wisconsin quarterback Danny O'Neal, he went to Cathedral in Indianapolis. David Bell, he went to Warren Central, you know what I mean? I'm trying to think. There was a bunch of kids that in my area, you know what I mean, that grew up with me or around the area in the same grade or around the same grade range. Just different, just nasty, just disgusting, just ugh. Cole Brevard, I think he plays for Texas right now. He went to Carmel. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of players. There's a lot of players that I've gone against or I've seen or I've grown up with that have turned out to be amazing Division I players. Some have went pro. But yeah, 100%. Let's move on to the next segment, okay? Because got a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? I want to talk about this because I don't think this gets talked about enough, but let's talk about some of the weird superstitions people have before games, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Me personally, I felt like a superstitious person, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not superstitious myself, but there are certain things I felt like I needed to do before a football game. There were certain things I felt like I needed to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to ask this question, and I want to make sure you guys answer it in a TikTok, whatever. What was your pre-game ritual or superstition that you felt like you had to do every single game? And if you didn't do it, then you felt like you were going to lose. Right? Okay. Here's mine. For every game, I had to listen to the same 3 songs. Whether it was right before the game or during the Tiger Walk before the game or whatever. I had to listen to 3 songs, okay? Don't clown me, okay? First one, Nothing Even Matters by Big Time Rush. Okay, I get it. Okay. I understand. Don't clown on me. Nothing Even Matters by Big Time Rush had to be one of the songs, okay? You Don't Have to Call by Usher. Had to get listened to, okay? And last but not least, okay, I had to listen to Nah, Honey, I'm Good. I could have another, but I probably should not. I had to listen to 3 songs before those games. Any other song that comes after that, whatever. It's going to give me pump. But I had to listen to those 3 songs or I felt like we was going to lose the game. You know what I'm saying? I had to wear the same stuff, you know what I'm saying? If it was cold, the same stuff had to get worn. If it was warm, double arm sleeve, low socks, every game. Had to get worn every time. Had to have the wrist tape. I had to wear the same things. I had to do the same things. I had to go through the same routine. You know what I'm saying? If I didn't go through the same routine, I felt like we were going to lose. But I want to ask you guys, what is your pregame routine, your pregame ritual? Okay? Because I want to know. I want to know. Because a lot of people, like, I've seen some weird shit. You know what I'm saying? I've seen some crazy shit in the locker room before a game. You know what I mean? Some crazy shit. Like, for example, my linebacker name is Jake Comer, right? For every single game, he had his Celsius and he had this granola bar. I don't know where he ate it from, but he had it. It was on him every time. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I swear to God, one of my safeties rituals was emptying out his whole locker on the floor and then finding everything he needed. He did it every game, home or away. I don't know what all that was about. All of his stuff was on the floor, whatever. You know what I mean? I've seen a bunch of different things. You know what I'm saying? I've seen people in the locker room throw the football around in the locker room. I've seen people, you know what I'm saying? A lot of different things going on. I've seen so many rituals, but I want to know what y'all's rituals are because On some real shit, on some real shit, some weird things going around or out there what people do. You know what I'm saying? I know people are eating weird shit. I know people are putting together some weird concoctions in their smoothies and stuff. I know people are I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are some weird things that people do before games. I want to know what y'all's is. You know what I mean? Short little segment, but I'm clip farming. I know. I'm clip farming. I definitely wanted to know what people's segments are. You know what I'm saying? You know, I also want to talk about something because it's been irritating me. This is just in like sports in general, but like football too. I hate that we are we'll move this. This is the next segment. I hate that we are in a generation of people that are unimpressed with everything. I hate that we are in a generation that people can't acknowledge and accept that somebody did something good. Let's praise that person for that. Let's give them their credit. You know what I'm saying? Let's give them their credit. And you see this with everybody. You know what I mean? You see this with everybody. There's a difference between being like, I'm not a big fan of this player, but I can acknowledge what he did was great. You know what I mean? I'm not a big fan of this player, but I can acknowledge that his impact was definitely good. And I feel the same way because I feel this way about Fernando Mendoza. Okay? I don't think he should have won the Heisman, but I can acknowledge he was a big piece on that IU team that was number one in the country. You know what I'm saying? He was a huge part of that IU team and why they won a national championship. So I can see why they gave the Heisman to him. I can give him all the love in the world. Hey, I get it. You're a national championship winning quarterback. You are the backbone of that team. I get you. I got you. But I also can sit there and say, I still don't think he should have won the Heisman. You know what I'm saying? Two things can be true. But the problem is there is no two things with y'all. It's either hate or overglaze. Hate or overglaze. It's either, hey, this player is the best player I've ever seen in my life. Or it's, I could do that, and anybody can do that. For example, Travis Hunter, when he won the Heisman. What he did wasn't that impressive. Despite him being the first person to do what he did. Why can't we just give somebody credit? Well, Travis Hunter might have won the Heisman. He didn't deserve it, though. He was undeserving of it. How is somebody undeserving of the Heisman? How does that work? You know what I'm saying? I don't even feel that way about Mendoza. I don't feel like he was undeserving of the Heisman. I don't think he should have won it. I thought somebody else should have won it, but I'm not going to say he didn't deserve it. He did deserve it. He was the best quarterback on the best team. But to sit there and try to discredit what somebody did and act like it's nothing, like I heard somebody say earlier today, we're getting to the point where people think that they can do shit like that. And they can't. We're getting to the point where people truly believe, that was easy. I can do that. Fucking Rashad McCants out here. Obi's 81. I don't want to hear that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the Bam situation. I'm obviously talking about the Bam. Bam scored 83. It's a football podcast. I get it. But this has to do with every sport. You know what I mean? Bam scores 83. Well, it was unethical. He had 43 free throws. I don't care. Can you go out there and hit 36 free throws? No. Can you go out there and score 14 touchdowns as a receiver in a corner? No. Can you go out there and rush for 2,000 yards? No. You can't do any of that. So why are you trying to sit here and act like what he did wasn't impressive? It's okay to sit there and be like, hey, that is crazy. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying, like, you got to like everybody. But why are we sitting here and acting like everything isn't impressive? Y'all aren't impressed with anything anymore. Y'all aren't impressed with anything. Y'all aren't impressed with shit. Somebody could go out there and double front flip into the end zone, and you'll be like, well, he did it off of 1 foot instead of 2. Shut up. It's okay to show love. Genuinely. And I'm more so talking to these younger kids. Younger kids and a lot of the older motherfuckers. So the older motherfuckers be tripping too. I'm talking to younger kids. It's okay to show love. Showing love isn't glazing. I hope y'all know that. Showing love isn't glazing. Telling somebody, hey, you did a good job isn't glazing. Now, if you go up to them and be like, you're the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life and I want to be like you when I grow up, now you're glazing. Chill out. Pop it out your mouth, okay? Relax. But if you go up to somebody and be like, hey, that shit was impressive. I've never seen some shit like that. That is really good work. You are him. You are that guy. You know what I'm saying? Cool. Ain't nothing wrong with gratitude. Ain't nothing wrong with showing people love. Ain't nothing wrong with being like, hey, you inspire me. You know what I'm saying? What you did out there was something I didn't think was possible. Now I think I can possibly get to that point. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing. Dang, it's okay to show love, man. It's okay to show people and to say that things were impressive. You don't have to act unimpressed by everything. I'm all for a good little hating. You know what I'm saying? I'm all good. I love a good little hate watch. But I also can acknowledge when somebody is good. I also can acknowledge when somebody is a good football player. When somebody can go out there and saying he's a ball player. I can hate the Cowboys, but I can acknowledge that Dak Prescott has his games. Dak Prescott to play really well some games. You know what I'm saying? I can acknowledge both. But the problem is y'all so knee deep in hating on everything that y'all can't acknowledge both. Show some love. Show some love. It's okay to show love, man. But again, we get caught up, and I blame the internet for this. I do. Because now we got people out here, the moment somebody try to show love, oh, you glazing, bro, you dick riding, bro. You like, bro. All I said was he's a great player. All I said was, hey, I'm not gonna lie to you. He's that. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I watched the film on him. He's a good player. We don't have to undermine everything. If a record is broken, we don't need to go back and be like, well, this person did it this way, so it doesn't even matter. Sounding like a true couch potato. Sounding like somebody that ain't never played sports in their life. And that'd be the problem. I need to specify. The people who do that shit are the people who don't play sports. My fault. That's on me. Because there's no way you can look at such a great feat and a great accomplishment and start complaining that he did it. Like, what? Like, every time somebody breaks the rookie passing record or whatever, the rookie year passing record. Well, this player did it in less games. And? So what? He still did it. I don't care how many games he did it in. It doesn't even matter anymore because now it matters. You just don't want it to matter. It matters. Stop with that. Can we stop with the dry hate? You know what I'm saying? I'm all for a good hate watch. Every time the Cowboys come on, I'm gonna hate. I'm gonna make sure I want them to lose. Every time the Seahawks, 49ers, or the Seahawks, 49ers, and the Rams come on, I'm gonna hate watch because I'm a Cardinals fan. Okay. But I can acknowledge Puka Nacua is an amazing player. Matthew Stafford's that guy. You know what I'm saying? I can acknowledge all of these things while also hating. Two things can be true. But like I'm saying, there's a fine line between hating and glazing, and you can meet in the middle. I promise you can. I promise you there's such thing as meeting in the middle. I promise you there is. Let's go ahead and move on to the next segment, okay? Somebody asked me, how can you tell when somebody is not just faking how much they know about football? And it really made me think about this because there's a multitude of things, you know what I'm saying? Pointing out things beyond what we just see, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I noticed that slot receiver is moving into, you know what I'm saying? That slot receiver's moving to a wing position. They're trying to get him isolated. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the language of it, too. You can tell by what language somebody uses when it comes to football. But you also can tell what language somebody decides not to use. You know what I'm saying? You can immediately tell when somebody knows football. Like, for example, creators like Theo Ash. You know what I'm saying? Those type of guys. You know what I mean? I can tell they know football. But I also can tell that they have no idea what goes on beyond the X's and O's, you know what I'm saying? The mental aspect of it, you know what I'm saying? But they know football, you know what I mean? And people was hating on Theo Ash. People was like, I'm not listening to somebody who can't do this. I was like, no, Theo Ash is very talented. He understands the game of football. He understands the nuance of everything when it comes to football, X's and O's, line adjustments, all of that. He's very smart when it comes to that stuff. But you can also tell the mental part about certain things when it comes to football, he ain't going to be able to get. And I don't expect him to, you know what I'm saying? I don't expect him to understand how it feels to go through a fall camp. And I'm not expecting him to. You know what I'm saying? I don't expect him to understand what goes through a football player's head on a daily basis, before a game, during a game. I don't expect him to know that. Before a player like Shady, like LeSean McCoy, I expect him to say those type of things. You know what I mean? It's the expectation of it. I'm all for you studying the game and understanding the X's and O's of the football game, the scheme of everything. I'm all for it. I love it, actually. I love it. It brings more, it lets people learn more about the game. I want people to love football in every aspect. But I think the problem resides when people try to start speaking on what athletes are doing and what they're not doing. I talked about this on my TikTok. I hate a couch potato. I hate somebody that can't acknowledge when to speak about things and when not to speak about things. Because as somebody who has never played, why are you trying to sit there and tell an athlete how to get over an injury? How are you sitting there telling an athlete how easy it is not to get hurt? How easy it is not to get injured? You know what I mean? So I always say there's a difference between knowing football, knowing the game of football, and knowing how the game of football works. You know what I'm saying? Because you can know football to a T. There are plenty of people I can say out there that have probably never played football that know more than me about the X's and O's of football. Not much, because I am that guy. But not much. But I can guarantee you that there are other people out there who have never played, that have studied for years, that know this shit like the back of their head. Hey, this, that, and the third, whatever. But I can guarantee you, when it comes down to how certain things work in game, how your mind is working in game, the certain play calls and everything, I'm going to know more than a lot of people out there. Because I played through college, you know what I'm saying? But this is not me saying, hey, I know more football than you. I'm saying I know more about the game of football than you. I hope you understand the difference, because it's going to sound, you know what I'm saying? I need you to really deep dive into what I'm saying. You may know more football than me. X's and O's, scheme, fit, unfit, you know what I'm saying? All of that, safety alignment, all of that. But you do not know more about football than I do. You do not know more about football than me. You know what I mean? And I got to address this. For every single person out there that is sitting there trying to question me on how much I know about football because I won't show you my highlights, I want you to put this into perspective. I have played over 500 plus snaps in college. People don't create their own highlights. High school, yes, you need to send that out to coaches. I do not create my own highlights. It is stuck in Huddle somewhere, and I do not know if I can have access to it. Trust, I will let you know if I gain access to it. But just understand and know. Just understand and know. I am talking about this for a reason, because somebody commented, and sometimes comments get to me because it's like, what? Somebody goes, if you claim to know so much about football, why haven't you showed us your highlights? I'm not claiming to know much about football. I'm also not creating you a highlight reel just so you can watch it. Like, what? I have one game that is on YouTube that you can go watch in totality. 2024 Monon Bell game. It is on YouTube. The full game is on there. If you really want to evaluate how good I am, go ahead. But what are we talking about? College players don't create their own highlights. I'm not going to the league. I have no intention of going on to the league. I can't go to the league. I am not capable of going to the league. I have no reason of creating a highlight reel just for you to watch and see. Understand that. Get that through your head. And no, I'm not doing it. I'll say this. Fuck it. We'll put an incentive on it. 10K YouTube subscribers. 100K TikTok followers. 10K Instagram followers. I swear to God, I'll go create you a highlight reel. Only if you get that shit done. Matter of fact, the podcast page has to hit 15K too. How about that? How about that? If all of those hit that, I'll create you a highlight reel and I'll post it on TikTok. How about that? But college players don't create their own highlights. I'm not doing it. I have to scrub through 500 plus plays. I think it's more than that. I think it might be over 1,000. I have to scrub through all of those plays. Are you kidding me? Like, no, I'm not doing that. No. Absolutely not. But I had to address that because some people be wilding, some people be tweaking, some people be on that. I'm not creating your own highlight reel just so you can evaluate how good I am. You know what I'm saying? If you can't trust me, that's on you. That's on you. But I will say, I have one game out there on YouTube. One game. 24. Monon Bell Classic. Look it up on YouTube. I'm number 13 on defense. You'll see me. You know what I mean? 13 on defense on the black team. You'll see me. You know what I mean? But I'm going to wrap up today's episode. I didn't get any viewer questions. My bad. I forgot to ask. I'm sorry. Let's do a little bit more housekeeping before we get up out of here. Make sure you guys go follow every single platform. Go subscribe to the YouTube, man. I'm about to start going crazy on that. You're going to start getting weekly videos before the podcast. You're also going to start getting a lot more content on there. You know what I'm saying? Shorts. I had a short that went crazy the other day. I'm going to post more on there. Instagram, go follow CT.03. Clips, everything. Everything's going to be on there too. The TikTok page. Not my personal TikTok page. The Trust Troupey Podcast TikTok page. Go follow there as well. Go follow my main TikTok page, Troupey Whoopie. And then also, my YouTube is Troupey Whoopie as well. But then also, go follow, go rate five stars, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of that. I want to shout some people out because I just found out the other day I was top 10 on sports podcasts in Taiwan. Crazy. I don't know how that happened. I didn't think I had reach like that, okay? Shout out to Taiwan, to the Taiwanese people that's listening to me. You know what I'm saying? But please keep listening. Please keep sharing and keep understanding and knowing football. You know what I'm saying? Listen, you ain't got to like me. You ain't got to love me. You ain't got to fuck with me. But you can trust me. I'll see you guys next week.